Jaden McBride, and I'm going to be presenting to you the idea of adding a boys volleyball program at Farmington High School. Adding a boys volleyball program is something that we think would be beneficial. Our school already has the means to do so. A lot of the kids have shown interest, especially those who don't enjoy track and field or baseball. They want something new to try. It's become more popular in areas surrounding us, and so we just think that this would be the best fit for our school. St. Louis has seen a lot of growth, especially in club volleyball, and there's a lot of potential for success in Farmington as it's not that far of a commute. It's not super close, but it's not too far to where they can't travel. First things first, the startup expenses for volleyball. We already have a pre-existing girls volleyball team here. We just built a brand new gym, and the men's and women's volleyball programs are very similar. They use the same size ball. They can use the same net. It just has to be adjusted to the men's height if we add that program. And they use the same floor. They would use the same ball carts. Everything is pretty much the same. The only expenses that we think that we would have to come up with the money for would be for uniforms, equipment, which I will get to that. There's not a lot, staff, and then travel. So for the first year, since it is a new sport and it's not very popular in our area, more south of St. Louis right now, talking to the athletic director, we think that we would only come up with one team. It would be a varsity team regardless of the age, but we would only expect about 10 to 15 athletes to come out. So with that being said, that means we would need to purchase 20 uniforms just for size variations, number variations, and just because we will be using those same ones. So if we do happen to grow, we have a few extra for the next years. Those uniforms I calculated just looking up some numbers. For a Mizzou uniform for men's, you're looking about, with the uniform top and the shorts, $99.97 a piece. For the equipment wise, like I said, the nets can be adjusted to the boys' height, and they already use our pre-existing gym, so there's not much equipment that you need to buy. However, since boys and girls do use the same size balls, and they're going to have a lot of wear just being used in practices every single day in the fall and the spring, and then thrown around, used by the other teams during games and stuff like that, it is probably best that every year, and this could be split up into boys and girls. Girls may buy 5 new practice balls a year, and boys may buy 5 new practice balls a year, but we find it best to keep volleyball game balls separate. So I would say 2 to 4 game balls for the boys team would need to be purchased every single year. Those run anywhere from $40 to $70 a piece, depending on which ones you go. I personally would go with Molten. It's a popular brand. They last a while, so that's around $50 a piece. So you're looking at $100 to $200 just for the game balls, and then $400 to $500 if you want to purchase practice balls every year as well. For the staff, my first thought would be to, since it is an up-and-coming program, I think that we should first ask the women's volleyball staff if they would be interested in taking on a men's team. It is a little different, men's and women's volleyball, but with it being a new program and not knowing how things are going to go or anything like that, and with them already having a background in the sport, we thought it would be best to ask them first. If they do not, however, it was decided that we should pay them the same amount that we would pay our women's volleyball program head and assistant coach. So the head coach right now is making $2,600 a season. The assistant coach is making $1,500. You would also have to take into consideration hiring somebody to work the gate at every game. Concession if you wanted it. They have it for women's volleyball right now. I don't So that would be something that you should look into for men's. The table workers, line judges, and referees. Gate workers typically make $25 for us because they don't sit there for the entire game. It's not a time-consuming job. Typically, they can leave between sets 1 and 2 after the first set is over, or between sets 2 and 3, whichever you prefer. Volleyball here in Missouri is only played best 2 out of 3, so it's not that long of a match. Table workers, we would have to have someone running the scoreboard, someone keeping the book, someone libero tracking. All 3 of those, get paid $45 a piece. Line judges typically make $50 a game, and referees typically make $75 a game. You need 2 line judges and 2 referees. So the staff's expense would be one of the more expensive aspects of adding a boys program. The most expensive thing you're going to run into with having a boys program implemented into Farmington High School would be the travel. As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of St. Louis schools who have incorporated boys programs. Like I said, club volleyball is very popular in St. Louis. But with us being an hour to an hour and a half south of some of those schools, travel would be expensive. However, travel for Farmington, if we take the buses, we only run $10 an hour for the driver and $1.10 a mile. So with the limited number of teams that we could play in our range, and the limited number of games, because there aren't that many teams around, travel would not be super expensive. But overall, I came up with about a $6,500 to $7,000 expense to starting a program. There's not that much to add. That's expected if we're going to have 10 to 15 athletes actually show up. And like I said, the interest would have to be there in order for us to even start this program in the first place. I would say we run it for a year. If travel expenses end up being too high, or just the cost, we end up being under by starting this program, it's always something that we can eliminate, but it's worth giving a shot. And with the interest shown and the growth in the surrounding areas, I thought that this would be the best fit for a new program at Farmington High School. Thank you.